Welcome to Hbcu Drumline Talk. My name is Ricardo, and once again, we are back, and I'm joined with my brother in percussion, the drumologist himself, EP the Great, and we're back for another great episode. Man, there's lots been going on, man. We talked to a lot of great drum lines over the past couple of years, and now we have finally caught up with them. But before I talk to you about it, man, this clip that we just saw was just awesome. There's so many different levels to their playing. Each level is clear. You can hear the syncopation. You can hear the call and response. But who do we have on here tonight? Alabama A&M University's Drumline. I'm going to go ahead and let them take off and introduce themselves.
Good evening, guys. Thank you for having me. My name is Jay Leon, and I go by Prof. J, former section leader, drum major, and now current percussion instructor.
Welcome.
Good evening, guys. Thank you for having me. My name is Joseph Augustus. I'm a Huntsville native. I'm a sophomore, and I am tenor drum section leader.
That's awesome.
Welcome. What's up?
I want to welcome you guys to HBCU Drumline Talk, man. It's a pleasure to have you guys on. One thing, just as a reminder to our audiences, right? For those of you who don't know, there are different sections when we talk about or different conferences when we talk about HBCU drumlines. And for example, we had a drumline on the other week. It's from the CIAA. We have the MEAC. We have the SEAC, and you guys are in the SWAC, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and jump into this. So what part exactly is Alabama A&M University located in?
Normal, Alabama.
Oh, yeah. So Normal, it's a small city, like kind of on the boundary of Huntsville.
Okay, cool, Huntsville. So it's not directly in Huntsville. It's just like out on the outskirts, correct?
Right.
Okay, cool. So that's awesome. So what we're going to do right now, before we actually really jump into this that way, now that you've explained where actually the school is at, and we're going to take a look at a clip real quick. You guys check this out. Awesome. I know it was cold up there. That clip was from this past year's Macy's Day Parade. And I really want to talk about this because, one, congratulations on first attending the Macy's Day Thanksgiving Day Parade.
Right.
But specifically, I want to talk about logistically. What is that like? What was the experience like logistically as a percussion instructor and as a student?
I can say it was smooth sailing up until probably the week of. Of course, we still had a game like the week before, so I think we left on Sunday. We had a game Thursday night, but other than that, it was pretty much smooth. Of course, we had all year to prepare for it, so we kind of knew the window of the timing and stuff like that. So it was pretty smooth. It was just a lot of practicing, a lot of repetition and things like that.
Okay, cool.
I was gonna feed off on when he said a lot of repetition, a lot of practice. We ran the same that street show you seen us do. We ran that countless times just to perfect it. When we actually got to Macy's, it was definitely cold. Oh, also, Mr. Wright, he had us like march around the entire school, like. And our campus is on a hill, like we're called the hill. So to march, like that endurance training and just getting us used to like marching and just, pushing through, he did a good job with that. I would say when we got to Macy's though, the only thing I could say was first we had to wake up at like call time was like 2 or 3 a.m.
Sure.
A lot of people don't know that. And then we had to run the show, of course. We ate after. the actual parade, they had us parked like away from the like we're in the front of the parade. We had to run from like I don't know, but it was a long street. I would just say that was kind of iffy because like they're talking about they're waiting on us, but like we're all the way down the street and it's New York. So yeah.
Was that you all first time to New York, visiting New York?
Me personally, yes.
Mine, yes.
Okay. How long was the parade? How many miles? Or
I think like 2.5, maybe 3 miles. So it
yeah,
wasn't that bad. It was just the wind and the timing and stuff like that.
yeah.
Once we got moving, it was fine. It was over in a second.
I'm glad you guys mentioned that. I did have a couple of questions about that and just a couple of comments. It seemed like you guys started the parade off, right? Because I heard, I tuned in and the guy was doing the countdown and let's go get it started. And you guys started up, get down the street and everything. But I did want to ask you about those heads that they give you, right? You guys have a specific sound that you have for your drums, that you guys have for your drum line. Did those heads make a difference in how the sound of your line changed?
You want to go? For
Go
the
ahead, you
tenor
can answer.
drums, all right. For the tenor drums, it was kind of hard to get the same Evans sound that we get or a regular Remo clear pinstripe because it had the little dot on it, or the little sticker. But yeah, it sounded kind of like I would say muffled or maybe underwater. It was just, it wasn't the same. Of course, we've been marching Evans and Remos all season, and then we get a sticker on our drum.
A
So
decal, yeah.
yeah, so
So I would say with the snare, so we march on like X's, so like a deeper, warmer sound. They sent us white maxes, so it was fine. It was just like more of a high tension. So that definitely played a part. And then we also have split tenors. We have a high octave and a lower octave. So with the heads already sounding kind of muffled, that definitely played a part. But the bass and the quints were fine.
Okay, cool. That's good to know. Well, thank you and congratulations on that great feat as representing HBCUs out there in that Macy Days Parade. So congratulations.
Thank you.
thank you.
Yeah. Congrats. So we're going to transition to the next question. When did you all journey with percussion begin? And whoever can go first.
You can go first.
Okay. So as far as I can remember, I've been like beating on something. So my granddad actually used to work at Miles College in Birmingham, and he lived like 2 blocks away. So when he would be at work, I would be somewhere around the band. And then Willie Snipes, who's the band director, is my uncle. So sometimes I would just go up there and just hang with him all night and just sit around the drum section. So I would say probably like third or fourth grade for me. And then I started doing band camps, and then of course, middle school, high school, and all the way up.
Okay.
My journey started when I was at church. We had a church drum line. I go to Madison Mission Drum Corps. Well, I go to Madison Mission, but we had Madison Mission Drum Corps. I wasn't old enough. You got to be 10 years old and up. So I would watch them. But when I got to fifth grade, that's when I started, drums. And I've been doing drums ever since.
That's great.
Okay, cool. So in this next question, you all mentioned it a little bit in the previous question, the first question, second question. Talk to us about, you guys' choice of drum heads and tuning.
Okay. So I'll do tuning first. So we tune based off like, for one, if we're gonna be playing inside or outside. I don't think some schools really do that, but I feel like it's important to make sure that you're kind of like, basically you have a clean EQ throughout the band. So of course, like where you're performing it, that kind of dictates that. So that's a big part of it. We tune outside a lot. We play inside a lot, but we tune outside of course, before the games and like a few days before. I tune at practice. I'm always on the tennis about tuning because they want to play all these rudiments, and if it's a lower pitch sound, it's not gonna sound clean. So I'm super on them about that. And then with the heads, the snares. So we switched to like a deeper sound around like 2017, 2016 ish. So we play on Remo Black X's because they're very durable and they have a warm tone. The Quints play on Reno Pinstripes. The bass drums play on black pinstripes. And then the tenors, I'll let Joseph, who's the tenor connoisseur, explain the tuning on those.
So I for the tenors we use Evans heads or Remo clear pinstripes, whichever ones are available. I would say Evans are more durable for sure. The tuning, the highs, we probably do. I can't remember it off our head, but we go off like scales. But yeah, that's how our tuning goes.
All right, cool. Yeah, them tenor drums, that pitch will drop quick on you.
Yeah.
In my opinion, we have in Virginia State, and they still, new to us. We had them a couple of years, but yeah, the pitch it'll drop on you. You have to stay tuned.
So
I'm
definitely,
always on those guys about that.
you got to definitely take the stance on, hey, we have to tune a specific way for indoor. We have to tune a specific way for outdoor, correct? Based on, and you guys use the same type of heads for both environments, indoor and outdoor, correct?
Right.
Cool. And that's really good to know. While we're on this topic, we've been watching you guys for quite some time now, for a couple of years, and well, for a long time actually. And I noticed there was a change, and the change that I'm talking about is you guys changed from Pearl to Dynasty, correct? And I just like to, guys, if you can elaborate just on the sound difference, the quality of the drum sound going from Pearl to Dynasty over the last couple of years.
So I really think it's just like an innovative sound with technology, to be honest. So of course, like the Pearls were a little bit older. I think we got those in like 2010. So we had them for a good amount of time. And then like when I got to Anthem in 2015, those were our practice and our performance drums. So of course, like with the weather and stuff like that, they're gonna kind of wear and break down. Just in what I've noticed, the dynasties are a very crisp sound, especially like our quints. Like our quints are very, I would say melodic in a sense. So they're very crisp. The snares are warmer and like have a more full sound. The bass drums, it's not too much difference in the bass drums. I would say it's definitely deeper, but as far as like just overall sound, I wouldn't say it's too much difference. And then what people don't know is our tenors were not Pearl tenors. There used to be a company in Huntsville called Quarter Percussion. It was local companies. So we were marching on quarter tenors when we had legs. So when we switched to Dynasty, it was a way, like it was light years apart anyway.
That's good.
Cool. All right, so going to the next question, can you guys talk to us about the core principles of Alabama's A&M Drumline?
Joseph, answer this one.
All right, so I would say precision is one of them. Syncopation, you talked about that earlier, like in the beginning of this interview. Syncopation is a big part of it. I would say confidence, having confidence when you're, performing, not looking nervous, that sort of thing. And then I would just say, like, being a family. We have girls in the section. We take care of them. We try to stay like united in a sense. When you're a freshman, y'all walk together, y'all, you know what I'm saying? eat together, like everything. So, I would say family is another big thing.
And EP sound familiar, right? Hey, I don't want you going to the calf without somebody else. Don't do Be everywhere you got to be with somebody, you know.
Yeah. Always know where the other person is at.
Mhm.
Right.
So that's good. That's good. So with that, the core principles, we'll go ahead and move into the next question here. And you guys see a lot of heavyweight drum lines. You guys are always ready to go and ready to be tested at any point in time, right? So if you do have a lot of opportunities to see these different lines and everything, as an instructor, Prof. J, how does your preparation change from each line from week to week? Or does it change?
I was about to say, I mean, it just depends. So to be honest, I feel like we are in a conference where it's like very aggressive, especially for drums. So we don't have the luxury of being a big name school that has a 30-year legacy. So I try to go into every situation of as soon as we get in this stadium, as soon as we get settled, we up. And we up until we get sat down by the director, or if the announcer coming on the thing, he's saying, "Can y'all stop playing?" That's when we get our point across. And I'm very young too, so I feel like it's just having all this young energy. Y'all gonna feel us. Like you gonna understand what's going on very quickly, and if you don't, we didn't handle our job. So 2 weeks in advance, I'm studying who we got to see, not this week, but the next week, and then I try to have a system in place where they already understand. Like, so we have like a storyline of cadences. So we used to all learn them a certain way, and it was like, this is what it is. But if you got to see LSU on week 2, you're not gonna prepare for them like you got to play a Division 3 school out of spit bucket. So I kind of had to change my approach, but for the most part, my goal is to embarrass the other section, like in some type of way. So we're going into the game with that momentum. So we got to start the week with that momentum. So we practice very intense, and it works.
Got anything to add on that to that, Joseph?
I would say, speaking for the tenor drums, we go in every week, no matter who it is. Don't let up. We're probably up all game. Like, even when the section may, not play, we're playing. I would just say that was my goal as a section leader, to just run the swag. So it's like, we're not taking breaks. This week we're pushing material, productivity. I'm just pushing my section to just be on that time. And even when they're like, "Oh, this is this school," it doesn't matter. Like, we up. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. That's just how I feel about it. I'm hungry, so.
And you guys probably seeing a different line each week, right? For the majority of the
For
season?
sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
I will say, just based off what you gentlemen just talked about right now, one thing that I noticed is that the consistency of your sound from week to week to week, it doesn't ebb and flow. It's just like, hey man, they're just in your face one week, they're in your face the next week, they're in your face the next week. It's just consistent, and that's what I really like about you guys. It's just consistent, no matter who you see from week to week. You guys have a specific sound too, and that sound does not change throughout the whole season, and that's really dope.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, what are you guys' vision going forward for your section? The big picture.
Joseph.
That. So the biggest picture I can paint is to evolve the section to the highest degree, in every way possible. Um, I would say it's just, I don't know, getting everybody on the same like dog mentality. It kind of starts with recruitment, but like that's a whole another area. But I would say um, definitely evolving the section. Um, yeah.
Cool.
So I feel like mine is for sure to evolve the section, and then like just outside of band, making sure these kids leave out with way more than they came out with. So if it's like the next career decision or whatever you choose to do, hopefully we can expand on that. Like we have a girl who's a freshman and she came in, she played one drum. Like she played her drum in high school and now we have her own drum set. So like she's doing gigs and she's doing stuff that's just not for the section, which is cool, but it's so much more out here. So I'm trying to get these kids to understand like this is not the peak of what you can be doing. But as far as like the section, I would like to have a large amount of numbers consistently because we're not a school that gets big numbers. So if we can do that and then still keep the same momentum that we have going, I think it'll be bad for some people in a few years.
Okay.
Shoot, if it's tough for folks right now playing against you guys, what are the numbers you're looking for?
I don't want to go too crazy, but
Yeah,
so
please.
if I can have all right, so my ideal section would be like for real, like not too big where it's like it's overbearing, but if we can have like 14 snares,
Damn.
like I mean, we pumping out good energy though. So like we had large numbers, it'd be great. But yeah, so we can do like 14 snares, like 12 tenors, solid, like 10 bass, 5, 6 quints. And it's as far as cymbals, I mean, it's bad for people sending out cymbals now. So if I can get like 12 or 10 of them, that's just all like aggressive because they already in your face. Like, because you got to think cymbals can twirl when there's nobody playing. So yeah, if I can get like 10 or 12 cymbals that's just going crazy at you forever, if we keep that like not just for the game, but just forever, like yeah, yes. So I don't want it to be too big, but just like a hefty amount to where you healthy and you yeah, it's in your face.
Hey man, well, that's a good point. I mean, I'm sure you guys will get those numbers, and through the years, I've seen you guys, large size, and then tone down a little bit, and then starting to crank back up to getting the individuals that you want to get in to get the line or getting the numbers that you would like to get, which is a good segue into the our next question, which is probably the meat of our conversation here. Let's really talk about your audition process for your drum line or your percussion section. And what are your expectations as an instructor? So this will probably be a two-part question.
Okay. So to be honest, I don't just recruit for one thing. Like some people go get bass drums, some people go get whatever the case. Because when you get here, you may come in thinking you're gonna play snare, but if you are super good on snare and we kind of have a solid snare section and we need you on quints, we can use you over here. So I try to be just very honest when I go tell these kids, like, hey, if you want to come here and do this, that may work. But if it doesn't, I still need you to be willing to stay. So I'm very transparent. We also try to recruit for the jazz band, the symphony band, and the wind ensemble. So of course, like standard rudiments, of course, the prepared pieces, but Mr. Wright loves when these kids can come in and do great things on mallet percussion. That helps. But for myself, I like to recruit heavy snare drum players who can be diverse. And then kind of like everyone else just kind of trickles down. It's like a I don't want to say no, I'm not gonna say that. But um yeah, that's kind of how I go about it though, to be honest. And then like of course we recruit specifically for what we need. So I think it's starting to change now because it used to be, okay, if you can play 40 rudiments, you can come and I mean, but you may not be able to play snare drum. So can you play tenor drum with the same wrist and technique and then switch your technique? So I feel like it's definitely changing, to be honest. Hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah. So as the audition from what EP, from when I get out of this, um, you may go and sit down and watch a lot of kids audition for you, right?
Hmm.
And if you're looking specifically for like snare drummers, okay, that's great. If they got some high caliber snare drum players that you like, you talk to them, they agree to come. You let them know right there, hey, you you got some hands, but we need your hands elsewhere. Or
Right.
there might possibly be a spot on the snare drum, but we can't. The snare drum line is set.
Exactly.
So if the snare drum line is set, is it a possibility that a person can challenge somebody who's already on there, or they just say you got to wait
That's
till
what I
they?
was about to say. Yeah. So that has happened before, for sure. Like we had a guy who was on Quince, and he wanted his spot on snare, and he came back. I think it was like, so we have split practices. So he came back and he was like, "I'm not gonna lie to you. I think I need to be on snare." And I was like, "Okay, well, show me." And he showed me, and he's not playing snare drum.
Okay, cool.
And then I, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, it's the same because sometimes, like I'm so young, I don't feel like I know all the answers, and sometimes these kids will shock you. So if you telling me you can play cymbals for A&M and you can do all the stuff they do and play the part, and I don't believe you, and you can show me, I'm gonna let you show me. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, I'm gonna keep you where I need you at.
Cool, cool. So I got one question for you, right? So what are the
Hmm.
chances for your line, right? And not to say that this can't happen. You get this smoking freshman that just comes in. What are the chances of him coming in and being like the captain of the line
In his first year,
out the gate? Yeah,
his the captain of the line,
yeah,
like the whole section,
yeah.
he can't.
That never
Like
happened.
you can't because you
That
don't
never
even
happened, huh?
know.
It won't happen
Like
nowhere.
you
No,
don't
I mean,
know.
I asked that question because you may have a kid that's hey been following you guys, right? That's
Hmm.
been to all your performances, that's follow you guys. He comes to all your camps. He's been coming through all your camps. It's his time. I wouldn't say knows you. He's familiar with your material. And if this kid is smoking, is there a way for him to come in on the line and say, hey, I want to make a run for the captain. I want to be the captain.
I feel like your first year anywhere, you can't do that because you have to learn the system that you're in. Now, your second year, for sure, I'm not opposed, but not for now. I'm just be real, not that first year. Like you have to learn the band. You have to learn how to,
Culture.
yeah, you have to learn how to operate in the culture of where you're at. So it's like dropping someone off in LA and saying, run the system of LA.
Yeah.
It's not gonna happen. So not in the first year, but I mean, my first semester, um, I was the freshman section leader for sure. And then in the spring semester, my section leader graduated. So not really on paper, but I was the one who made sure a lot of stuff was organized. And then we started to build like that. And then in the fall, I was section leader for sure.
Okay, cool. So Prof. J,
So that can happen.
as we
I'm sorry.
transition into the second part of this question, obviously you have a captain here with us on the cast as well. So what are your expectations for your captains in the line?
I So I have to be able to trust you because like we're still dealing with drum section. So a lot of these guys are just young and they can play. But if I can't leave for 2 hours and say, hey, get this done, and I come back and it's done, like exactly the way I said it, if not better, you probably not gonna be a captain. The section has to definitely not fear you at all, but they have to have a respect for you to understand that you are the one who's best fit for this position. Um, that's very important to me. I feel like musically and then like just being on top of like school and band, you got to have some balance and you can kind of like take on this responsibility because you're kind of like a parent of 6 people or however many said people are in that subsection. So if you can't really do all of that and still maintain what you have to do as a student, nah. But if you can, then I'm always willing to give people leadership positions.
Good, good.
Can I ask JoJo that same question?
As in, what do you expect from, I'll say me or us?
From y'all, yeah.
Okay, so I would say you definitely expect us to stay productive. I would say that. You expect us to keep our sections disciplined, um, unison, uniformity. That's big. You're big on that. Um, I would say um, you want us to be the best. So like whether it's and just be consistent. I'll say that consistency. Not showing up to practice late or dragging your feet, not getting anything done, not making sure your freshmen are doing what they're supposed to do. You know, as you said, you're the parent of the section. So he's like the grandfather or like the parent. And then like we're the parents of the kids, the babies that we just had, as you could say, or whatever. So um yeah, he just kind of makes sure we're doing what we're supposed to be doing. So the section can run fluidly.
Okay, cool.
Can I flip
Okay.
that one more time? Can I ask how you do that at Virginia State?
What's that? I'm sorry.
Like how do you pick your captains or your section leader or whatever the case?
Okay, so what I do, I just observe. I observe how they act.
Mm-hmm.
Do I have to tell you to do this when I'm not here? Do I have to tell you to do that when I'm not here? I I just observe because usually, if our seniors they would do the fall, and we have a spring season, but usually the spring season is kind of laid back. So that's when I'm observing the future section leaders. Okay,
Right.
are they taking it upon themselves? Okay, Snares, we're gonna go practice for an hour in the park somewhere. We're gonna work on this. We're gonna get ready for next season. Are they doing it on their own? Did I have to tell them to do that? So I'm just observing to see who's taking the step, to lead the line. Then after that, are your grades good? And take it from there.
I agree. Thank you for the answer.
Yeah. So that's a good transition to the next question. What advice would you give someone looking to become an instructor or, for college or high school? What would be your advice? That's a question for I guess for both, Prof. J and Joseph.
Um, so before I was an instructor at a high school, and it's way different. Like I feel like now I sacrifice way more of my own personal time, kind of being with these kids. So make sure that you're willing to sacrifice. Um, the drum part is almost the easiest, to be honest. Like just making sure that you're gonna lead them the best way, even when you don't want to, or even when it's like not the easiest decision. Um, because they look up to you, to be honest. Like they should look up to you as their superior, not their friend. So be their superior, not their friend. Separate the business and the personal. And then just make sure that you're demanding the most out of them. So not letting them have a low bar. That's what I would honestly tell anyone. And then make sure that you're not asking them to do anything that you wouldn't do,
Okay.
I would say.
Yeah. So Joseph, in your case, what advice would you give a future section leader coming to take your spot in 3 or 4 years when you graduate? What advice would you give them?
The advice I would give them is, one, do a better job than me. Don't let what I've accomplished be like the ceiling. I want you to go past that. I would say have a plan before the season. Have a plan on how you want the overall section to be, how you want yourself to be. You don't know what type of freshman you're going to get. So it's hard to plan that. But if you have the plan of you want everybody to look alike by the end of the season, then, you know what I'm saying, you have to work harder if it's people that's never touched a tenor drum before, or, you know, whether it's snare drum, quint, so on and so on. I would say be hungry as a section leader and be a role model. You have to stay hungry throughout the season. The energy has to be up. You can't die down. That goes into being a role model, because if your energy's down, what do you think your section, you know? But if you're hungry, you're going at it, you're trying to better yourself, the people that are looking up to you are going to want to better themselves. And then that's how things just get better over time.
Cool.
I mean, you guys gave some good input there. I really liked a lot of things that you were saying. So let's kind of transition into the next setup here. If you think back at, well, obviously, Prop J as a student or as an instructor, you know, what is one of your most memorable moments as a student and as an instructor, and obviously Joseph as a student?
So
This is in
I
the
think
drum.
yeah, for sure. I think in undergrad, so when I was a student, I would have to say we went to Pasadena for the Rose Bowl parade. But it was the year that not the bands went, that it was like a few people from each school's drum section went. Um, that was pretty cool because we got to work with Harvey, of course, and he's like a goat. Um, we got to meet Ralph, and he dropped some gems on us. Networking for sure. Was definitely like top tier that weekend. And then I had a family tragedy, and I think just learning that like life still has to go on very quickly. Like during that weekend, like something really bad happened, and I feel like me learning that hey, the job still has to get done no matter what's going on. That really taught me a lot, and it shifted my focus. Just kind of transitioning into a adult, and then as the instructor, I really feel like it's kind of going on right now because we're getting ready to go to Memphis for the first time for Battle of the Drummers, and I feel like with everything that's going on right now within the section, like for us to still be pushing as hard as we are, and like it's so much other stuff going on that's just like real life things and personal life things with these kids. I feel like this is one of those time periods where like in 5 years I'll look back and be like, we really did that. And we showed up for ourselves and we showed up for each other. So um yeah, I definitely feel like that for sure is the most memorable. Of course Macy's was cool, but since I had already did the Rose Bowl, it was kind of like on the same pedestal in a sense. But for me, I think that's my answer.
Okay.
Joseph.
I would say I have two. So one of them is when I was a freshman, we went to Houston, for a battle of the bands, and I've never been under like a spotlight that big. So like, you coming from band camp and then a couple weeks, probably like 2 weeks, and then that big performance. So I would say with the lights and then you're on the field, all these other bands, that was like eye opening. And then the behind the scenes, I never knew like Battle of the Bands. You're watching them on YouTube. You're not seeing like the behind the scenes of the bands, how they practice before and how they, walk past each other or eating, and you get, your drum cases searched or whatever, stuff like that. I didn't know like all that took into place. And then Macy's, I would say like it was definitely big. And then New York is just beautiful. Like New York, I'm from Huntsville, so and I've traveled, here and there, but like New York is like exactly what it is. Like it's New York. So like I don't know, it was just beautiful. It was just nice to be there. It's very big. The parade, there was no like how some parades will be like groups of people here, then nobody right there, and then groups of people. It's groups of people from the start of the parade till like the end of the parade. So, um, and then just to be on national TV, like that was great. But those are my two most memorable.
Yes, that's one thing about band. It'll take you places you probably never will go, or see
Yeah.
things you never will see. You know. So we come up on the last question. Who was your all favorite line to watch outside of your own conference, and why?
I would say mine is probably Talladega College. Um, their drumline, I like their material. It's not like other schools. Um, and then their numbers. And they usually always have a kick, like a nice drum kick. So I like the way I like the creative process that goes on over there.
Okay.
I would have to say, to be honest, I like watching Norfolk a lot. I just like how intricate those guys are. Um, I like watching Dago. They are very aggressive. Like, I like that. Swain got some good stuff going on down there. And then, to be honest, I like watching the Blue Devils.
Okay.
Like, just on like the cleanliness and like the battery part of percussion that people in HBCUs kind of, I don't want to say stray away from, but it's not really our thing, especially in the SWAC. So it's like, I try to think different. Like, how can we out? Uh-oh. Sorry, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
I got you.
Good.
I'm sorry. How can we outthink these guys, or how can we have a different structure? Because I mean, it's like you see everyone's kind of doing the same thing now. So how can you kind of counter that and apply it to what we got going on?
That's what's up. Always good to step outside the box, man, and observe and see what else is going on out there.
Mhm.
And what you can use.
Hey,
Yep.
Prof J, just a quick question. Do you do most of the writing for the line, or do you disseminate that to the folks that are in the line as well?
So for like the music, yes. I'm very hands-on like the band music, like the fills and stuff. These kids be trying to play whole cadences on the snare part. I'm like, bro, we ain't gotta do that. So
Yeah.
for sure. And just kind of like showing them how the style of A&M is and like how we can evolve it properly without stepping completely outside of what we got going on. As far as the cadences, I'm not too hands-on anymore. So I have a lot of in the past few years, I probably created a lot of the evolution. So like cadences like YSL, TikTok, or Vivance. I know y'all are not sure what these are, but like those are like cadences that started to change and evolve the sound. So those are mine for the most part. But I like to see what the kids are doing now. And I like to be hands-on and making sure like we're not straying too far away, like I said, and then also just letting them have their time because I had my time, you know.
Yeah. Ooh.
So,
Okay, cool, man. So this was, we've come to the close at this point in time. We once again, we wanted to say thank you guys for coming on HBCU Drumline Talk tonight. But before we do go, I always like to close with a little bonus question. And this question is specifically for Joseph. Ready? Okay, Joseph,
Yep.
I come up on you. I come up on you, and I'm writing a senior in high school. I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm getting ready to graduate. I got super hands. I'm ready to do it. I'm chopping folks out. Man, I'm really looking at some different schools. Cool. So I got a quick question for you. As you know, I'm chopping it out. Can you set me up with Prop J? Look, and I'm coming in as a freshman trying to be the drumline captain. Can you hook that up?
I would say, so
he trying it on this question. He trying to get
I
that
want
out.
you, I want you to be humble. Your approach is a little too much, and you don't want to rub off as someone who's not fit. If you're trying to go into a section, you want to stay very centered, humble. Don't get ahead of yourself. You have a lot to learn. Yes, you have skills, but this is not your peak. You have a lot to learn. You know what I'm saying? You can get better. You want to audition though. Here's his contact information. Here's his email. You definitely cannot be, captain. Everything is earned at A&M. Nothing is given.
I just
Yeah.
saying, hey, I want to come in, because you might have a lot of kids that come in being arrogant and say, I can come off the top. Nah, you think you can.
Yeah.
EP.
All right, so I also have a bonus question. It's for both. So it's like what 4 or 5 HBCUs in Alabama? 4 or 5?
Miles State, A&M, Talladega, Stillman,
Tuskegee.
Tuskegee, 6.
6. Okay. So what would and Claudia, you can go first. What would be your all-star line using say snares from Talladega, bass from whoever? What would be your all-star line? You can use your current school too.
So cymbals for sure, A&M. I'm gonna
Okay.
take A&M cymbals for sure. Snares, I'm gonna take. No, I'm lying. I'm lying on snares. So for snares, I'm gonna take half of A&M, half of Bama State.
Okay.
I like Bama State snares. I
Playing.
always give them their flowers.
Yeah, they playing.
What's that?
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
them
for sure.
playing. Yeah, that's snares are playing.
Tenors, I'm gonna take half of A&M and half of Dega for sure. Joe's gonna love that. That's a band room session. He gonna be in there, no shirt on with the drum on. Bass drums. I love our bass drums, but I'm gonna have to say Dega bass drums.
Okay.
I'm gonna take Dega whole bass drum section. And then Quince. I'm just taking our Quince. I Quince like they crazy. So
Okay.
yeah.
All right, Joseph.
Okay, so I'm going to take kind of a different approach. So to start off with the tenors, I would definitely take our tenors, but I would take state's tenors, and I'll do both. So I have leg tenors in the front and chest tenors in the back. I would say basses, definitely Dagger. Cymbals, I would say us, but if I could do Dega size, that would be like overpowered. So I say that. I agree on the snares and state. That's a crazy combination. And then Quince. That's like and it's not really nothing to debate.
Okay. Sounds good to me. All right, so Rick, anything else?
Yeah, I have one more thing. And it's so important to give the shout outs to these folks. I want to first say thank you to A1 Media and thank you to Killa Kev, man, because without they catch so much great footage, a lot of the footage that we talked about in this and that you'll see that we showed earlier. They put the time in. Those are their videos. So I wanted to say thank you to A1 Media and Killa Kev as well.
Cool. All right, so we'll come to the end. Now I want to personally thank Prof. J. Joseph for taking time out on this Tuesday evening, to come on our cast. Thank you all, for your everything you talked about. Thanks to the fans. Keep watching YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. Like I always say, this is for the culture. It's not for us. Till next time, have a good evening.
Have a great evening.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.